What's going on, guys? This is your boy Ligo One Half Enduro, and a continuation of this series that I'm started, Game Three. I mean, Part Three. Um, I'm going to continue with that. Now, I'll be honest with you. I just want to put this up front because for certain things I've been seeing and people saying, so it's all right, and it doesn't hurt my ego. Again, I do YouTube, then do a channel not for money. I do it for fun and just have a conversation, little rant, little there sometimes. But I don't do it for money because even with, I just did, for honesty's sake, I just did a video with my wife this morning for her for the channel that we're doing. It only has one video on it. We got a lot of videos ready to go for that channel, and I'm gonna put a little effort into that editing because of because I wanted to look good for my wife and stuff, and she has a platform where she could spread to more places, and she has a couple friends, and one of them that I met from church, church, like she has 15,000 followers, 150,000 followers and stuff, and she taught my wife, no, sorry, my wife taught her how to bake copycat crumble cookies, and that video hit crazy mass. It was within the couple. It's like one of those, like your big YouTubes. It hit a lot of views on with no problem. And she's an influencer. She just makes money off of that. But she does it with the joy of fun, and her platform is more about being a mom and kids and stuff like that, like what to do for the right food, what to do with your kids, how to do certain things. So she gets a lot of mom groups and everything, and her channel is like broadcast on what's the one, I forgot it, but she's a part of a group of places where she can get advertisement, like Belmont, the Belmont estate. Like she's a part of the Belmont estate. This is a big, like, and she's a black person too, but it's just crazy. So I'll give you an example here. This is just a little example. Then we'll get into today's video. But again, I'm doing this. I am gonna edit some videos because I'm gonna edit some my wife's videos, and also I have not edited my wedding videos. It was not professionally shot. It's basically me going around asking everybody else, which is the hardest thing to do. But I know now. I know now. I know then, and I see why people charge like thousands of dollars to shoot weddings and everything like that. Now, when you are in the wedding itself, you got so much stuff: the cake, the food, decorate. Like it's so much stuff, so much work in tentacles that there's times where you just like wish that somebody could just take certain things away and they deal with it. But you want, not per se me per se, but I'll give it to that. But for women, they want their wedding to be perfect. So I know, me, there's no such thing as perfect. So when I edit that video, it's massively crazy. This is a YouTuber, most people know him as it's a Gundam. I'm just gonna show you some of the stuff that like I said, his videos. Some of the videos are short, some like 10 minutes, some will be on that. But I want to play the little clip that he just showed out of editing videos.
Oh my god, this is worse than a DSP video. This is worse than DSP. And I'm like halfway there. When you zoom in, like, I had no idea how much time and effort I put into this. Jesus fucking Christ.
That's what editing videos to get some of his videos to be what it is. And God bless him. He makes his money doing this way, and that's it. I am fortunate that I have an architect job. I'm fortunate that I have a music company. It's not, I get residuals, not as much as I used to get before, but I get residuals, and also like I said, I got things, but I can't do this. I just can't. Y'all could say what you want to say. I know people be saying, oh, you burp to your thing, you cough, you have you don't do editing to stuff. You just read lines and add your stuff to other people's videos. Yes, I'm a commenter on that. That's all I'm doing. I'm not gonna do all that work for what? Thank y'all for getting me up to 3,000 reviews. Gundam has what? Let's just take this channel. He has 764,000 subscribers. Good for him. That's great for him, and I wish him the best. But I'm not that. I don't want that to be my life. I'm happy going out, driving cars, doing things and stuff like that. I like to have a life. I don't like to be sticking in a room. Like right now in my regular job, I get stuck in a room and do thousands and thousands on stick in a room, which is my architect job. And yeah, and I get thousands of dollars paid for that. But it's something I know I gotta do. But this, I ain't doing that. So just give you a heads up of that. Let's get into today's video. This is part 4 of the video games that I have here. All right, so let's go with this part 4. And this one I will say, Nintendo has issues too. I'm not knocking that, of course. So we're going to dive into. I'm not scapegoating Nintendo from this, but they're the least company to do some of the damage. They're following it, but they're the least company to damage it. But let's talk about gaming here. So Mega Common, this is a video from him, the many issues of modern gaming.
Hey fellas, did you know that I like video games?
It's so funny. It's such a good joke. No, it's not. That wasn't funny. Please.
Die.
Gaming is...
And before that too, I remember I saw it a little bit earlier with the video. Like I used to edit some videos like that. But first, again, I apologize. I want to, if people, when I used to put in effort and I had the time to do a lot of the stuff, right? These would be more like the, if you wanted to go like, yeah, like we have, let's see, jukebox. Wait, and you go back to some of the old stuff, all right? The LBCs, the breakdowns, the WTFs, like the WTFs.
Yo, what up, YouTube? This is your boy Live.
If you go to the WTFs, right? Let's just have the list here. If you go through them, I edit videos, and it took a while.
What up, YouTube? This is your boy.
It took a while. I put my little edits in there, a little speaking, my little fun, like most people do. I did that. So if you want to go back to those days when I did that, the WTF, the breakdown, a lot of the old videos, you go. This is basically doing a video showing where we have come to now. And also, I've pointed out, like I said, this video game, WTF, still needs a lifeline. We passed the lifeline, now we need to preserve. Okay, so I'm just giving an example of what I've been speaking these things for years. And I said, now I got a wife and family and stuff to do. I ain't got the time to go do all the editing like I did before, like I showed you. So again, thanks for the people that for doing this, but I'm just commentating on what the people say. All right, let's continue.
It's been a part of my life ever since I was a little kid. I grew up with some of the best retro consoles like the PlayStation or the Sega Genesis. Then I got myself an N64. And just saying the word retro makes me feel like I'm already 1 foot in the grave. And ever since I got my hands on those controllers, I've been a lover of games ever since. I've been around the block for quite a few years, and frankly, I'm disgusted by the state of modern day gaming. Now, this is obviously an opinion piece kind of video.
Well, duh.
But as someone who's been a huge fan of gaming for most of my life and having seen a ton of dumb moves made on the part of the industry, I figured we'd take some time and dive into the biggest issues that I and, well, several people have with the industry. Although knowing some of the people who quoted my tweet with their answer, I'm sure gonna stoke the fires. Good. We need to have an honest conversation with each other if we want this industry to actually survive. or let it crash and burn. I don't know about you, but I'm just a YouTuber. I doubt I'll have the power to change anyone's mind.
And I feel that way too, but I'm just pointing out. I mean, this is basically to record for history that this is a basically glorified situation for me. That it basically is like, F you, I was right. As Razorfist would do, spinning in the chair. F you, I was right. That's what this is. Okay? Because I could tell you that everybody thought that the movie industries won't feel the problems. See what's going on with the movie industry. Oh, the music industry. It's totally trash now. Literally trash. I did a video on my radio show, my podcast, I should say, not radio show, but it is broadcast and everything. But on my podcast, showing that one, and I will do editing and stuff like that because that's more me making, trying to do stuff and teaching stuff. Anyway, but I showed the other side of music industry and how the music is going now, and how like hip hop is trash. Pop is sucks. Rap is again bad. It just all these Moneybagg Yo. You could check this on YouTube. Moneybagg Yo, big rapper, whatever. I don't listen to his song, whatever. But he's the biggest rapper right now in this generation of stuff, other than Megan Thee Stallion, stuff like that. Go and see his stadium concerts. They're empty. I pull more people than these people, and they know people know him more than they know me and my music group. Crazy. These guys never perform more than 100,000 people unless it's somebody else from the past to link them to. Okay? I have performed in front of millions of people. And it's part of a show. I'll say that. Not a show, a festival. But to see millions of people cheering and cheering me on while I'm on stage doing music is a thing. But other than that, I think the biggest show I have ever done with me as the headline, has been 70,000 people in the O2, which is a big arena in London. You could Google it, you could see it. I talked about it for those in the past, but for those who are new to the channel, because I've got a lot of subscribers, yeah. So yeah, trust me, it's crazy. But anyway, let's continue.
Well, with that out of the way, I'm Manga Comment, and these are the numerous problems with modern gaming.
Oh, it's crazy. Modern gaming sucks.
I've been a major fan of Pokemon since its inception. Generation 5 has always been my favorite gen since it came out, and it's remained that way ever since. It's not to say that I don't have fun with the more recent games, but there's just this level of polish and, dare I say, soul put into the Gen 5 games that I just haven't been able to find in the current iterations. Not helped is the bork state of recent games.
Are you looking at this? Hello there.
Yes, Violet and Scarlet was rushed pieces of trash. I could say that. I don't play the Pokemon game. I didn't play this one because I played Sword and Shield. I like Sword and Shield, but this, nah, it was trash. And Game Freak, you should get just as much chastised as any other Western gamer for the trash you put out.
I'm in my mom's car. Boom, boom.
Piece of garbage.
I love Pokemon as a concept, and I can appreciate that game development is tough nowadays, but this is insane and shouldn't be acceptable for a full-price product.
Yes.
If I'm paying $60 to $70 for a game, I would like it to not be giving me nightmare fuel from technical issues. Mounts turned invisible, animations failed to work, and raids gave rewards even on a loss. To a lot of people, these games felt rushed, and when you have a game like Pokemon that at its core is a straightforward gameplay loop and has simplicity coded into it, it doesn't help. Pokemon is the most popular IP in the world, and with that comes a ton of funding. This is a popular talking point used by a lot of critics who often argue that Pokemon should put more into the gaming aspect. And while I do agree generally, I don't appreciate how insufferable this argument has been used. Personal gripes with the internet behavior aside, it's shocking how a lot of games nowadays are released in some less than stellar states.
Oh no!
I'm sure that when I said that, there's probably a few popular examples that popped into your brain. Arkham Knights, Grand Theft Auto, the trilogy, Cyberpunk 2077, Assassin's Creed Unity is the thing of nightmares. Then there's that mess that was Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breach, or if you want an example that I'm more personally attached to, No More Heroes 3, where the game bugged out after the first boss, crashed my game on the Switch, and deleted my save data, so I had to do the whole thing all over again. Gonna be honest,
Yeah, that would piss me off if that happened to me. And just for honesty's sake as well, too, to be honest, that has happened to me before. I was on the Wii. So yes, I totally understand where this man is coming from, because that will drive a person insane. I was playing Arc of Fantasia, the RPG game. I was playing that, and I would say 25% of it is my fault. 25% of it is my fault. I saw a glitch happen, and I was like, that's weird. And I could have paused it and let it go, or I could have just like, you know what, stop. Let's refresh the game or something like that. No, I was like, because I was grinding, I was like, let me just go ahead and just let me go keep on grinding a little bit more, that I could save the game. Well, that didn't happen. The game crashed, of course. Then the console crashed. Then I had no problem. So I was like, hey, what the hell's going on? And again, I think it was more the console than the thing. So it might have never did no problem. I'm just giving you the time reference to how I thought in my mind. But I was like, what the hell's going on? I had to send my Wii to Nintendo. They fixed it. They sort of fixed it. Sent it back to me. Then another issue arrived. Then I sent it right back to them and said, nah, this ain't working. And they just sent me a new Wii. Okay, and the Wii has been working all up till now. Knock on wood. So that's for sure. But be honest, I get that situation we're talking about. I have not completed that game, which he's going to talk about. I have not beat that game because of that issue. Because I don't want to go back to all the grinding I needed to go grind in that game to go get high to beat the last boss. It's like, I don't feel it. I don't feel that energy. It's a time suck. And I'll not play No More Heroes 3, but again, I hope they fix all the problems so I can enjoy the game without that nonsense. But like I said, that doesn't mean that people who are not taking their time out there, from Grasshopper to Nintendo, as we saw the example there, to a lot of the big third parties who do crazy stuff. You know what I mean?
That kind of tanked my experience for the entire game, and I've tried to come back to it a few times, but I just kept losing my interest because of that experience. Now, part of the reason why I bring this up is because a good number of games are getting pushed out the door with these issues. Normally, there's a day one patch that can fix them, but that's dependent on the game itself, and sometimes these issues don't really get fixed, or there are other issues that crop up because of these patches. This isn't to say that older games didn't have issues or bugs, they did, and rarely at times a patch would even be available, and even if it did, back in the day, you probably even know it existed. Going back to Pokemon, in Generation 3, there was something called the Berry Glitch. There were a few ways to fix it, but most of them required buying another game, something that later creations of Ruby and Sapphire would fix. Once the World Wide Web became a lot more prominent, day one patches were becoming more and more common, and that's clearly a good thing, especially since it can mitigate the issues of bugs most of the time. The issue I take, and I would assume that a lot of gamers also take, is that these bugs shouldn't be in a finished product at the first place when it's sold on release. These buggy initial releases are becoming a lot more common, and this is because of the business side of things, where developers are being pushed to get the product out due to time constraints. It really feels like there's some fat cat execs and board members who don't understand that quality is going to earn more customer loyalty than they could lose by delaying another few months. But gotta push out more games and earn money for that Christmas season, am I right? Why wait to take some time when you can just fix the issues afterwards? It's a mindset that is understandable if it happened a few times, especially with a lot of the larger projects, but when it becomes a much more prominent event in a ton of games, that's when it becomes an issue. And what's even worse is when this is rewarded. I brought up Pokemon Scarlet and Violet at the beginning of the section. Well, despite all the bugs, they're the 4th most sold Pokemon games of all time.
And that is the part that is annoying as well too, and he's correct. What can you say when people reward that stupidness? Again, Nintendo fans is no different from Sony and Microsoft and the PC crew. It's PC with Starfield, of course. Just like, why? Like I said, there's certain games I just don't mess with because I know it don't have the how should I say it? Not the panache, but just like, you know, it's gonna be something bad or whatever, or depending on what it is. Again, there was a game. What's the game from Ubisoft that I like? And I did not buy none of the ships. Thank the Lord I didn't do that because that was crazy. But it was oh man, I can't remember the one with the flying. You know, with the flying and the robots, and not the robots, the flying and thing, and it had Star Fox in it. And I want to say Atlas. The thing is that no, it ain't Atlas. But anyway, I digress. That game, people had problem issues with it. Now, is it a fun game? Yes, it really is a fun game. Repetitious, yes, but that's all games. Like he's talking about this. Pokemon is Pokemon is a very repetitious game, but it's how you craft the game. That's that's made the difference. But when you know that you have bugs and issues, like again, the Tales of Symphonia, the remake, have they sent patches to fix the game? Yes, they have. But it should have never been released like that. When you have a game that's old enough that you know what should make it run, and you could play the old game to figure out what makes it run. It shouldn't. But people reward that craziness. I remember I used to have a phrase called, if you don't like it, don't buy it. If you don't like it, don't buy it. That's all it is. If you like it, buy it. If you don't like it, buy it. Don't buy it. That's just simple. But we don't have that no more.
Now, I still enjoy Pokemon to this day, but even I have to put my foot down at this sort of thing.
It's everything you wish for.
Which you
Site
should have.
traffic is skyrocketing.
Which you should have.
Is this the biggest issue in gaming? Well, that's up to you. I know that I'm paying $60 to $70 for a game. I like it to, you know, not have bugs like this on day one.
What?
And wait for a patch to come out just so I could play the damn game that I paid for. It's disgusting to see AAA studios essentially adopt the release it now, finish it later mindset. We've gotten to the point where we applaud games for actually being completed before release to the public. This should not be how games, especially games that have tons of support, should be. Although, since we brought that $70 price tag...
Gasoline is too damn high!
So, how about this economy?
It's so fun.
I mean, this economy is a joke, and it feels like if you even want to have a modicum of fun nowadays, you gotta shout a lot more dough for less.
Yep.
We're now entering the darkest timeline where games are now starting to cost $70, and these greedy gaming companies essentially know that we as gamers will pay that much. Xbox and PlayStation have been doing that, and so has Nintendo with the release of Tears of the Kingdom. And you know, it's gonna be worse down the line. Nintendo has stated that this price tag isn't gonna be the standard going forward, but it'll be a case-by-case basis. Oh yeah, that's always a good sign now, ain't it? I wouldn't be against paying $70 if I got incentivized to do so. What do I mean by this? It's quite simple. Include stuff with the game that players can enjoy, especially with physical releases. If I'm paying $70 for a game, give me things like the soundtrack, a poster. Hell, games used to come with instruction manuals with them, with awesome artwork and
Ain't that the past when we used to have good stuff like that? And I agree with you.
But they're slowly dying off. Digital releases, I can understand you can't really do that. However, if you're still charging about $70 for a digital release, then your game better be the greatest in the world, or you better give me a ton of additional value. But here's the problem. A lot of this stuff will often be regulated as additional DLC you have to purchase. It's content that's already on the game. How hard is it to give me a digital code to get the soundtrack for your games? I guess you gotta squeeze as much blood as you can from a rock. I'm not trying to beat up Pokemon here, but let's consider a DLC pack. They're going to be getting the DLC editions for Scarlet and Violet soon, which cost about $35 for each version. Which, to me, considering how well the base product was made, is kind of an insult. But fine, let's move away from Pokemon and talk about Resident Evil 4, the remake. The game is actually pretty well done. It's got a lot of polish, and I'm still waiting on a review of the game to be fully edited, sorry. But when the game came out, Capcom decided to keep its trend of first-day DLC.
It's Capcom. What do you expect? Were you expecting them to change their style of doing stuff?
You serious?
DLC going to offer you the deluxe version of the game, where you get a few extra outfits, a couple of weapons, some screen filters for some reason, the original game's soundtrack, and a map that leads you to treasures in the game that are otherwise unattainable. A lot of people will probably argue and say that this is extra content, so it's only natural that Capcom would charge for it. But no, this isn't extra content. This was all good to go and could have easily been included in the base game, but was cut so Capcom could squeeze a little more money out of your wallet. What's worse, if you actually are like me and want to get the base game, not wanting to support this DLC practice, well, screw you, Common. It's now $20 if you want to get that DLC. They want to pay $10 up front? Well, get bet, loser. My question is, why? Why do we need to pay more? Of course, this isn't the only thing that Resident Evil 4 does. The game has microtransactions.
Yay!
Wow, what a waste. The poor children.
Yay! For $3, you can buy exclusive upgrade tickets, as many as your heart and bank account can handle, so you can get upgrades for your weapons. Essentially, it's a pay-to-win aspect. And sure, you can argue that you're only affecting your own experience with the game with these and no one is forcing you to buy them, but that's a terrible argument because that ignores the real issues that come from microtransactions as well as the kind of DLC that I mentioned above. Microtransactions, the above-mentioned DLC, have had a significant impact on game design. Developers used to create complete games with all content available at a reasonable price. Now it seems they purposely withhold features and essential components only to charge us extra to unlock them.
Hello, I like money.
When done this way as well, developers will prioritize making the in-game purchases more appealing. Even if it's just for cosmetic or offering exclusive goodies, it creates an unfair advantage for players wanting to open their wallets. I will concede that for more single-player based games, this isn't as big of an issue. But here's the thing, games used to have options like this that would allow you to bypass skill issues. We used to call them cheat codes, where you could input stuff that would make you invincible, or in some cases just give you a big head. There are more egregious cases out there. Diablo 4 caused a bit of a stir with microtransactions at launch earlier this year. Or if you want a lot more recent, Street Fighter 6 announced that they would be getting Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle skins for the game, in coordination for the new Mutant Mayhem movie that came out. Which is nice, except for the fact that it costs $15 to get the skin for each turtle.
Taxes! Beautiful, lovely taxes!
Thanks for taking my money, asshole.
That's what we call the game tax now, because that's what they do. They make you do all kind of stuff for this. $15 per skin per... Nah, you can keep that nonsense. Not doing that, but this is one of the reasons I ain't bought Street Fighter 6. It looks like a really fun game compared to the 5, which I never touched. But I know Capcom, so I'll wait.
Yep, you gotta pay $60 for these skins. The same price you could for the base game. Sad part is, you know someone out there is gonna buy these things because it's the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, one of the biggest IPs in history. Of course people are gonna buy it. And that's the rut of this, really. That someone is gonna buy this stuff and continue the cycle. That's not new content, it's just something to help you get ahead in the game. I'm not opposed for DLC, or paying for it. I am when it's content that should have been in the base game. It isn't superfluous or it's just overpriced. Hell, I remember when I bought a remake for Klonoa on the Wii, it came with a coupon for a free taco at a place called At least it was something that I got for my money. If we're paying these big bucks for games, we deserve more bang for our bucks. Even more so when these games have a lot of issues and need to be fixed.
That is correct. And that's why like I said, I stated at the beginning of my journey when I did the WTF videos and the breakdowns and also the, that this is what's going to happen in the future. And oh, lo and behold, like it was correct. This shit is happening.
I want to apologize.
Game over is a state of failure for the game designer. Boss fights are outdated. We don't use the word fun. I'm sure you've heard these quotes or mindsets before, especially from
which we're gonna be getting. Which if you have not watched that, I do have a video about. I do have another video in the same series that's go back and check it out about the fun.
Prominent game developers over the last few years. Game developers who want to make the medium mature. To have studios that make story-based games start taking their stories more seriously. As if they weren't before. I don't even have to say the names of the people who said these quotes. They're responsible for some of the trends in gaming design that I really don't like, especially when it comes to storytelling in games. And I know there's going to be people who will disagree with what I'm saying here, and that's fine. Make your own video. But to me, there's been this small creeping trend of games that are trying too hard to be like movies, supposedly focusing more and more on the narrative than the actual game aspect, or at the very least attempt to be more like films. I want to make it clear there's nothing wrong with making a game that takes elements from films. I'm a huge fan of narrative-driven games, and as a Metal Gear Solid fan, well, we'll get back to that in a moment. But there's a clear difference between the mediums, and not just them, but between all storytelling vessels, and that's because games have the unique ability to tie their narratives to their gameplay. Some do it better than others, but games have not only the element of interactivity to work with their storytelling, but more often than not, games will have more than 2 hours of content to work with. Frequently, the content can be between 10 and 40 hours. It's because of the aforementioned interactivity that can make these long playtimes worth it. And this isn't to say you need to just have gameplay, as there are things like visual novels, point and clicks, or even just choices in the gameplay are enough to get people's attention. And it's not help that games are often seen as a tool to help push some message.
That's why I did the video part 2 when you try to force a lot of stuff down certain things. We don't need it. Again, point taken. You don't need it. Can it be a part of gaming? Yes, you don't buy it. We don't need it, but we don't buy it. But when it's forced into certain games and it is not a part of the experience, that makes it even worse. Just saying.
I'm sure that a lot of people aren't going to agree with me on this point, and that's perfectly fine. But when I see stuff like The Last of Us 2 getting countless awards, I'm often told that it and the first game are the greatest stories in gaming. I do not.
It's a good story, but it ain't the greatest.
Agree with that at all. Then there's writing in games, something that has been a rising trend as well. Earlier this year, we got Forspoken, where it had some pretty cringy dialogue that set the internet on fire. Now, I've talked about my issues with the narrative in previous videos, like how Frey is so stupid that she can't grab a bag full of money that's right next to her out of a burning building before grabbing her cat. It'll only take 1 second as you're moving, but that's beside the point. Game writing is different from other forms of media writing, and that's how it has that interactivity aspect to it, and at times, games don't really utilize this strength as much as we'd like to nowadays, at least from what I've seen. And stuff like Metal Gear Solid not only doesn't have filmography in its blood, but also remembers that it's a game. It includes things such as boss fights, elements of storytelling, and gameplay mixed together. And being entertaining is all hell.
Aren't they the oons who accuse Yoshi P and the developers of making the game 100% white, so they're racist?
Final Fantasy 16 dev has a terrible answer for why the game is so white. Naoki Yoshida feels that racial diversity would be a violation of narrative.
This is why, and of course, it's Kotaku. Why am I not surprised? Hey, let the game be game. That's my point. Like I said, when people try to do it, if that's what it is, that's what it is. You don't like it, don't buy it. Like I said before.
Narrative boundaries.
Let me tell you how much I've come to hate you since I began to live.
Yeah, it has come to.
Oh yes, don't even get that. We have a video. We're gonna have a video about this too. Suckass journalists. Don't worry, there's a video about this. Oh boy, we gonna have a video about this.
At this point again, video game journalism. Can you even really call it journalism about gaming when a lot of it's bogged down with some of the most inane stupidity in the world? I probably don't have to give examples because many of us could probably think of some articles or events that are
including Gamergate. We started all the BS of the whole woke and try to push narratives down to things. But let's not talk about the people who don't like who don't like video games, but they're writing about it. Why are you playing? Why would you do that? I ain't want to do that.
They're just so mind-numbingly stupid. If you're an old fossil like me, some of you would probably remember the time that Jeff Keighley became the Dorito Pope to stare directly into our very souls, to sell us chips and Mountain Dew. Game journalists not knowing actually how to get past the tutorial stage in Cuphead, complaining that Chun-Li isn't the Mortal Kombat film, demanding that games need easy modes, accusing Nintendo and Persona 5 of using a slur in one of Super Smash Bros. Ultimate's songs, claiming that they're being ableist, all because the writer misheard the lyrics and didn't bother to check the lyrics online, and really just makes you wonder, why is this an article?
Wow, what a waste. The poor children.
Ladies and gentlemen, I think my brain just committed suicide.
Oh, and don't forget all the current stuff going on, like one of the latest that journalists are going nuts over the bare sex scene in Baldur's Gate 3, and then going on and on about how Baldur's Gate is setting a precedent for gaming that other developers can't handle. Or if you want to question some things, yeah, I'm not reading that title.
I will, but I will. I will, because again, they're getting crazy. Genshin Impact covers up the booties of It Boys Toys. Because gaming journalists is creepy as hell. These are some of y'all are the most failure of failures right in this S. Fans are calling it a bubble diaper. What in the world is wrong with you people?
Motherfucker. That don't even make no goddamn sense.
Yeah, I'm not reading that title. The thing with journalists is, they're pretty much useless. I'm not the first person to say this, but if you had a YouTuber who made video reviews of games, why would you ever waste your time with game journalists? Gaming journalism is a joke at this point. Back when sites like YouTube, Twitch, and etc. weren't even around, gaming journalism was a needed job to inform readers of upcoming games, providing tips and anything that Nintendo Power could provide. Yeah, they were magazines, but they were great and sold amazingly well, since you read about games and only games from page 1 to the last one. No ideological bullshit.
Oh man, don't even remind me of that, because again, I have the last issue of Nintendo Power and some of the and the full. Oh man, good old days. I still have a couple of the video, the Game Pro game. Oh man, the good old days where it wasn't full of crap, where you have to edit because you want to make sure you're not writing garbage. They ain't doing that crap no more.
Politics or current year activism. Games pure and simple. 100% game-related info. Hell, some magazines came with demos and free games, but nowadays? Why do I want to read a diatribe and think piece from some no-name journalist who will take the time to virtue signal using one paragraph to actually talk about the game and then spend 100 on why the developers are the worst people in the world? Nowadays, if I want to know about a game, I trust the people who are actually playing the games on YouTube or Twitch.
I don't think I'll go there either, to my friend. No, because again, you're gonna see what we talk about that in one of the videos. I've talked about this too, where these guys just have an incentive and they don't care. They'll play bad games just because they get clicks, so they don't care, and also they get access and stuff like that. So YouTube, not so well. Twitch, not so much either. No, not really. You just have to use the thing that God has given you up between your ears, called a brain, and decipher the BS. It's hard sometimes, but you do.
The YouTuber more often than not has better comedy, a better personality, and you won't have to worry about them having a mental breakdown about how awful our world is during a PS5 review. Why is this here? Who approved to put this in the article? Imagine if I start a review and went, hey everybody, let's talk about Yakuza 0 today, but before we do, I just have to say that our country is the garbage fire, and because of our president, oh god.
Exactly.
But if you had a YouTuber who made video reviews of games, why would you ever waste your time with...
And again, looking at what's on the screen, that aged pretty well, did it? Oh, wait, it didn't. You learn quickly. Frost, you should have never opened your big mouth. Grand opening, grand closing, as I put in my video when this thing went live.
With game journalists. It's a lot more simple, and depending on the streamer or YouTuber, might get a much more honest review and some entertainment value out of it. And hey, you at least know that the people you're watching are actually playing the games they're talking about, or you can watch them play as they go. I wonder if some of these journalists have even lifted up a game controller in the past. And I wouldn't have much of an issue, except these game journalists somehow get a ton of perks. They get access to games early, support from the industry, and actually get to decide.
So does the YouTubers and streamers.
What games get what awards. They're just pointless at this point, and they're like VHS tapes. They're obsolete.
Found you. Get back inside, silly. It's cold out here. Alright, now seriously, hold still. I'm gonna get it this time, I promise.
Again, we're going a bit more subjective with this issue, but it's one that I feel needs to be brought up, and yeesh. So the other day I was looking up an older game, God Hand, a game where you can actually...
And again, it's funny, we're going to be talking about this, we talked about this in a video, in this series I'm doing right now. Funny.
They kick people in the balls.
No.
I played the game a long time ago, and I wanted to get back into some more retro gaming, and I figured, how much could this game cost?
Yeah, a lot of money. It does. It costs a lot of money. So it ain't cheap.
It's not that different on something like eBay, but this is one of the biggest issues with older games, and how outside of emulation, there's going to be a pretty hefty price tag to play them legally. And this just got nastier over the pandemic. This is even the worst example of this. You ever hear of Rule of Rose? This shows that there's an issue with game preservation, as there are a ton of games that are locked into systems that they were introduced on. Don't get me wrong, there have been a lot more accessibility to older games. Hell, I brought up Metal Gear Solid earlier, and we're getting the collection that is coming to a lot of platforms. But not every game has that luxury, especially a lot of older games.
Well, here's the thing. A lot of older games ain't gonna have that. There's a lot of games I played in the past I wish I had that. Again, we got a Tales of Symphonia remake. Some people gonna enjoy it. I ain't bought it because of the brokenness of it. But here's the thing, though. I like how people like to do this with certain things, right? I know we never have an apples to apples comparison of a lot of things, because people think, oh, well, you can watch old movies and stuff like that. Some of the movies that you grew up with have been edited. Some of the movies that you grew up with have changed. That's why I built a NAS, I rebuilt a NAS. Thank you, Netgear, you bastard. You
piece of loser.
Stopping the cloud services. Anyway, I rebuilt a NAS system up so I can get all my movies that I have on DVDs and stuff like that, record them, basically legally, okay, no illegal stuff here, and put them on my NAS system, and I can watch any movie anywhere in the world, and I have it there perfectly. Now, there is one issue of that, is that I started with a 4 terabyte RAID 0 backup. I think 12 would be better, but I didn't have a 12 at the time. I got so much stuff going on, and I didn't want to spend the money on something. I don't want to wait, because I have it just too long TDL, okay? But if you want classic, cool cars, you're going to pay a premium dollar, though. That's just it right now with cars. If you want some movies, you're not going to get them because they didn't have the power to, see through the bullcrap and become classics. What you think is a classic to you is not a classic to somebody else. That's why that's one of the reasons I came with my phrase, what's perfect to you is not perfect to me. And what's perfect to me is not perfect to you. Because that is all on perspectives.
Not too long ago, I reviewed a game called Yu-Gi-Oh! Duelists of the Roses. It was a very commercially successful game, selling over 1 million copies, and even garnered the PlayStation 2 Greatest Hits title. And that's essentially the only way you can play the game outside of emulation. It's not the greatest game of all time, but that's my point. Games like Duelists of the Roses or God Hand are games that are almost 2 decades old, and there have been no modern attempt to bring them to newer hardware. Same thing for games like Persona 1 and 2, which at the latest you can play on the PSP. Although Persona 2 is a much much more messy story since that game was split in two, and you really can't get the PSP adaptation of Part 2 due to it not being released outside Japan. And it's a mess because you could get these games on the PS Vita storefront, but back in 2021, Sony attempted to close the storefront but backed off due to backlash, only to make it a lot harder to purchase games via those storefronts. You can no longer use a credit card or debit card or payment methods such as PayPal to buy digital content or add funds to your wallet. Can you see why this is an issue?
Yes.
While you have Nintendo with their classic games section, while you subscribe to their online systems, but this doesn't include the N64 or advanced titles since you have to buy them via the expansion pack. Same with the Sega Genesis collection. This is an interesting solution, but one that I have an issue with, meaning not only do you have to pay extra for the classic games for the additional consoles, but there's also another solution. Remakes! I brought up remakes already in this video, what with the Metal Gear Solid and Resident Evil 4, and hey, the fact that classic games are getting remade is good. And if you're not interested in the remakes, these ones still do have the originals that are coming out, or are out. Hell, the same thing can be said for Dead Space. Of course, not every game gets the remake re-release treatment, although more and more remakes are starting to crop up. But most of the time, the games that do get remakes or re-releases are already commercial successes, with one or two flaws here and there. Games that don't have a lot of accessibility or have been released on modern platforms don't get this treatment. But hey, we just gotta have The Last of Us be on every single new generation, don't we?
Yep.
And sometimes remakes aren't really done that well either. Remember my section about bugs that released? Rockstar released GTA Trilogy.
That is true, and that is absolutely correct. Because we see how that works.
Edition, and it was riddled with bugs and glitches. Or going back to Pokemon, Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. I feel like I don't need to say anything with those games. And while I'm not against remakes, I will say I would prefer there being new games being made, because if you have a remake, you don't really have to worry about making something new. You already have the base product to jump off of, and it really just needs to adjust gameplay and graphics and maybe fix a few things. A lot of games don't really need to do a lot of experimentation nowadays. There's a formula. So when I see a remake, while I'm happy to see a game from my past being brought back to the modern day, I feel sad we're not really getting a new installment.
It all depends on the money.
There are countless issues in the gaming world, and frankly, I just scratched the surface of these issues, but you all need to realize something. Part of the reason why these problems are problems in the first place is because we are consumers, and we allow these practices to thrive. Game companies know that gamers will buy superfluous DLC because we buy that DLC. They know we'll pay $70 for a game because we're willing to pay that much for a new game. Journalists can act like asshats because we share their dumb takes on social media, and some people will click their articles and give them exposure.
Exactly.
It's because we as gamers allow these situations of gaming to occur. We vote with our wallets, and unfortunately, even if you're against some of the more predatory practices, there are others who are willing to shell out the money to allow companies to continue their terrible behavior.
That's true. So what you can do, because I'm not unlike these people, I'm gonna give an answer. Yeah. If you want these practices to stop, the answer literally is you got to stop buying them. And I'm not talking about the people at large. I'm not talking about gamers at large, because it's not happening. Everybody have different lives, different experience, different thinking, different everything. But if you want a nice library of games to play, you buy the good shit. Not the crap what people put in front of you, not the crap that the media put in front of you, and if the media gets crapped all over it, again, we'll talk about the game media, all over it, I'm going to, let me see, I am going to forget them and buy the game. Oh, 2 months. Oh, Bayonetta's this. Okay, all right. Thank you, Polygon. But you know what? I still like Bayonetta, and it's a good game, so I'm gonna buy it. Just had a problem with Bayonetta 2 because why would they do this? Even though you gave Grand Theft Auto, you said over sexuality, but you gave Grand Theft Auto a 10. How the hell you do that? Oh, don't play these games because it's hard to play. Just like you said, this sort of thing with the, you call it again, the demo or the introduction where you Cuphead where you can't get far or whatever. Yeah, you can't play the game. That doesn't mean the game sucks. A la carte, Star Fox Zero. Oh, and Star Fox Zero. So again, I did a video on my channel. My at the time 10-year-old cousin could have played a game, but grown ass men are bitching. Oh, why this is so hard? Even though that year, and like I said, I did a video because I needed to. Y'all want, Nintendo, use the gamepad. Well, they use the gamepad. Nintendo, let Platinum make the game. Well, Platinum made the game. And then when it came out, y'all didn't want the shit because it was too hard. And oh my goodness.
That to me is why online services have gotten a lot more expensive and have a lot less features as of late.
Yes.
Luckily, there are ways out of this. And that's to support the indie scene. There are plenty of unique and original titles out there that can really open up the doors to new games and ideas for the gaming industry. Support the developers that you like. Don't support the bad practices. And be sure to just ignore the journalists. They don't matter in the long run, and support the creators that you do trust. I mean, that could be for me too, but hey, if you just made it to this point in the video, that's good enough for me and I appreciate it. I don't have all the answers on how to fix the gaming industry, but we can start.
No, what I just said compare with what you just said makes it.
Start small and have it grow. After all, we're gamers. Even if we lose a life, we always have continues. I'm Uncle Common, and thanks for watching.
That is true. But I agree with Homeboy here, and I added on my situations of saying how to deal with it. The reason why I got that big of a library and a backlog of my games in my gaming closet that I've shown many times on this channel is because I did my due diligence to find games that are fun. Games that are, number one, fun. Excuse me. 2, games that are not broken pieces of garbage. Okay? No game's perfect. But as long as I ain't gotta do a super microtransaction and garbage, I ain't doing it. I am not doing it. Okay? That's how I see how the gaming should be. And 3, knock down your pre-orders. I've been talking about this for years. I pre-order games when I know the developer is going to be doing the right thing. All right? But people still, as I showed in the first part of this video, you pre-order Madden and you're surprised Madden's trying to games like trash and transactions and it's glitchy with all the modern stuff. Yeah. That's not surprising to me. So it is what it is. With that said, again, thank you for joining us for another episode of this. Again, I'm gonna this is part 4. Thank y'all for joining this. And check out the other parts of this video. You go back on the YouTube channel and go part 1, part 2, and see this. Because it's not only games getting boring. They're not getting fun. It's just I want to do in this series because I just see so much stuff happening right now, and I do have the time right now to do these videos. That again, when I started this channel in 2014, and my journey of seeing things going to now, I have been proven correct over and over and over and over and over and over again. That's why I have a video on my channel called let me just show you. And again, if you want to check out some of my retro stuff where I did some of the editing and stuff, the audio might not be great because I just started, but we talk about gaming and stuff like that. Yeah, this is when I cared a little super much. I ain't gonna say I do that now. I apologize that I don't do that, but I guess, like I said, I got life. Because I was talking about this. See, selfish fans. I'm talking about that. DLC and skins. I mean, skins is DLC. I talked about that. Gaming gimmicks and everything. The good and bad about that. Like, I talk about all this stuff before 8 years ago, before a lot of these other YouTubers started to talk about this stuff. Pre-orders. Like, again, the WTF is basically, you want to go down that, like, you see where I talk about most of that stuff. So again, I have that, but I do have a video that like I'm trying to see. Let me go back to my recent stuff. That again, it might not got enough views, but it is proven everything I said about video games. And it is basically where is it? Because I have it. I did it last year. This right here. Man, I got enough views. I don't care. That's not one of my thing is this. But hey, the Champions League. The reason I did that because every single thing I predicted in the video game that's gonna happen came true. Every one of them came true. I don't have the most right now. This is the first time I have the most the most consistent video drops and long videos. I've not done these in a while. I used to do the endcast and people but I'll when I get to the point, I'll do that maybe next year, start that up again and have that. We talk about fun. If you want to do that, you can go over to Jay, who used to be part of the Gamers Lodge. He does a video podcast with Andre and a couple of the people from the Gamers Lodge who used to be that. If you want that vibe to do that, go there. I don't have the time right now to do that, but yeah. But again, yeah. And again, even this one, that kind of raised me a thing they didn't do. Y'all said it, but it happened. It didn't do it. It did not do that at all. So, oh well. I'll catch y'all next time. Check out for the next video. All right. Peace out. And remember, there's no perfect games out there. What's perfect to you is not perfect to me. What's perfect to me is not perfect for you. Simply enjoy games on all consoles, including PC. Peace.